Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 5100-045-600. This is a relatively common hinge that does a specific job in a specific way. It is a half mortise, 4.5 inch prime coat hinge. So you've got half mortise and half surface hinges, full mortise, full surface hinges. When you deal with your half mortise like this, or your half surface, the word that you're the word that applies in the name refers to the door. So if you have a half mortise hinge, that means the door leaf is the mortised hinge, versus a half surface hinge, which means the door leaf is surface mounted. And by an extension of that logic, the leaf on the frame is the opposite. So if you've got a half mortise hinge, the leaf on the door is mortised and surface mounted on the jamb. A half surface hinge means the leaf is surface mounted to the door and mortised to the frame. Now, after thoroughly confusing the conversation, let's move on. 5100 is a reference to a number of things on this hinge. It means it's half mortise, means it's 5 knuckle, means it's plain bearing, and means that it's standard weight, 134 thousandths of an inch leaf thickness. The 045 means that the hinge height, or the leaf for the door, is 4.5 inches. Okay? There's not another dimension because it doesn't relate to the frame part because it's surface mounted to the frame. The 600 means a couple of things as well. It means that it's both steel based and prime coat. 600 means prime coat on a steel base hinge. So, a half mortise hinge, where are you going to see it? Well, first of all, let's get a relationship on this hinge. You're looking at it in the sense that the door would be, from your perspective, a right-hand reverse door. Okay? Or from my perspective, possibly a left-hand door, but more likely a left-hand reverse door. So the door is going to be here and will swing out towards you like this. This leaf is surface mounted to the frame, so the frame stands here. And then your door comes out here. Okay? Completely non-handed, you can just simply reverse that. This leaf is mortised to the door normally. Just a typical leaf. Okay? Typical swag on the hinge leaf here so that it would emulate a full mortise hinge. This short little leaf is surface mounted to the face of the frame. Fasteners are included for all of that, just machine screws. They're going to 1224 flat undercut head machine screws. They're going to assume that you're going to drill and tap this to the face of the frame. Okay, and this portion, this leaf would be mounted to the door normally. You will see this when you have a frame. They're generally never specified this way originally. You wouldn't order a new door and frame and decide, give me full surface, half mortise hinges. Although you could, it would be atypical to do that. Typically where somebody uses this hinge is this scenario. Door and frame, 10 years old. The top hinge plate on the frame has failed. Abuse, rust, the hinge plate. Restaurants will take the door and open it and put a block of wood up at the top just to keep the door open when they're taking a delivery in and out. That will break that top hinge. Frame is cement blocked with mortar and grout and concrete into a wall. Extracting that would be costly. A very reasonable next step, because there's no damage to the door in this scenario, is to get a half mortise hinge and simply weld it to the face of the frame, which is not recommended because that's a problem later on for maintenance, or drilling and tapping it to the frame, which is also problematic, assuming that the frame is not reinforced from the beginning for it, although people do it. However you get it attached is, quite frankly, your business, but making it secure is the key portion. And it's extending the life of a damaged door and frame is where I commonly see this sort of hinge. I wouldn't specify this new, but if I did, I would order the frame reinforced to accept drilling and tapping of the frame leaf, etc. The fact that it's plain bearing, there's no ball bearing, tells me that it ought to be a standard light duty door with a very low frequency of use, or quite frankly, it's ordered by someone who cost is the most important thing, and plain bearing versus ball bearing is a reason enough to go with the less expensive hinge. Now moving forward to the template, there's a link below this video called template, and it will show everything important dimensionally about this hinge, but will also allow you to review the variations on this. So first of all the dimensions are there. Locations of the template pattern on the screw holes, pivot axis of pivoting dimensions, so you can review all that. I won't beleaguer those points here. The bottom half of that page gives you 3 columns. Steel base like this, brass or bronze, which would be dependent on your finish. If you had a satin bronze, it'd be a bronze-based material, or a polished brass, it'd be a brass-based material, or stainless steel. This is a 5100. You can see how that part number changes as the base material changes. The BB, below that, is the same hinge, just with ball bearings. That's really always recommended, in my opinion. The 8100 series is this same hinge with 3 knuckles. And then the LB is a lube bearing construction. It's a concealed bearing specific to Bommer. So a 3-knuckle ball bearing, but they call it lube bearing. And you can see how those part numbers change throughout that entire matrix. Base material, plain or ball bearing, 5 or 3-knuckle. So if you have any questions, you now know how to, if you need a variation on this, you know how to derive the part number at this point. 134 thousandths of an inch leaf thickness, said that earlier, that's considered standard weight. They are also available in heavy weight, which would be 180 thousandths of an inch thick leaf, a variety of different sizes, and of course architectural finishes. The last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bommer logo. Right above it, it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. Any questions on this or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Here's your Darwin, and I got the, why, what's up?